Hello everyone, I'm going to be doing the left hand versus right hand challenge. A challenge where you draw with your dominant hand first, and then you draw the same drawing that you drew with your dominant hand with your less dominant hand, and then seeing how those drawings compare. Now, for this challenge, I already drew these two boxes beforehand and labeled them accordingly, and I decided also beforehand that I was going to have a very simple drawing, like not too simple to the point where you could basically draw the same thing with both hands, but something that has some detail so you could tell, like, if your less dominant hand, in this case my left hand, you could see how well that drew details and if it compares with your more dominant hand, but also at the same time having it somewhat simple so you're kind of having some room of error and having that ability to see, like, oh, I can draw simple things and I can also draw complex things, or oh, I can draw more complex things but can't draw simple things, or can draw simple things but can't draw complex things, that sort of thing. Just sort of seeing where my weaknesses lie when it comes to drawing with my left hand. So here I just drew in the facial features and also drawing in her shirt and things like that. And I was also deciding to draw in an amulet, and I was also going to draw that in with an opaque marker that I have, so that way I could see how well I could draw inside the lines with that. Because that marker, since my alcohol-based markers don't really do this, I wanted to see how well this would work, but with that marker it really covers up the line art, so I wanted to see how well I could stay inside the lines and not run over them and completely get rid of them. So I wanted to see how little I would need to fix when it came to that amulet as well. And I'm also drawing in a bun, and that bun also was partially for fun and also so that there was less space to do line art and less space to color, because I also felt like you could more easily tell where you went outside the lines with the bun. So I'm adding in the liner, and with my style, you can have a lot of line variation throughout the entirety of the piece. So there was a little bit of margin of error when it came to that with my left hand, but it also, I feel like, really makes the line art pop. So I was just sort of adding a lot of line variation when it came to certain places, and just really trying to show that variation and also see how that compares with my left hand, and also making the line art really thick when it came to the amulet because I really wanted to draw your eyes' attention to that. So now I'm just going over all the facial features before I start coloring it in. And the coloring in is where it really gets fun, because then you really start to see how the right hand compares with the left hand. But using my Bear Eraser, I started to erase and started to bring in my gold marker that you can see on the right side of the screen. This is also a calligraphy marker, so it's really opaque, and I actually didn't go outside of the lines that much for the right hand. And I started to color in the skin tone, and on the skin tone I did a little bit of a mistake. This isn't anything with the Copic Chow markers or with this challenge, this was just me making a mistake. So here you can see that the blush was going okay, but then I brought in a really dark pink marker and I had to blend out for a while to try to make that color the right color that I needed. And yeah, so mistake learned, do not use blush colors that are way too dark for the skin tone that you're using. So here I'm just adding in some freckles, also tried to make those dark enough to be seen, and then I did the gradient for the hair. So for the hair, I wanted to do a gradient just to try to see how well I could do that for the right hand compared to the left hand, and it was also just really fun to do. I never really do gradients with hair that much. Like, if I do different colors with hair, I never really blended it out that much. I was just like, here's one color, here's another color, done. But with this gradient, it was actually really fun to do. And here I added in a dark blue color with the shirt because it really complemented the gold and the brown that I was having with this character. And then I started with the left hand. Yeah, so as I started this sketch of the left hand drawing, I immediately knew that it wasn't going to have the same quality as the right hand because the lines were just getting really wobbly. Like, as you can see, they really weren't as straight as the right hand lines were. And the facial features just weren't in the exact same placement as they were with the right hand. Like, as you can see, the right hand drawing is really more at a 3/4 view of the face, while the left hand is more at a straight-on view. So, it wasn't the exact same. And then, also, I just started drawing the bun really wobbly. Really wobbly. As became more evident with the line art. And the line art, I thought, would make it easier because I could have really thick lines if I wanted to and really thin lines if I wanted to. But the thicker lines really started to make it not worse necessarily, but it didn't help making it better. Because when I went over the lines over and over again, there started to be some space in where I originally drew the line and where I was trying to go over it. So that kind of got a little annoying. And then also it's still pretty wobbly lines, as evident by the bun. And then I started going over some of the facial features, and you can really see me going over these lines, trying to make them better. And also, her face expression got really angry for some reason. I don't know why, it just kind of did. And then also that one eyebrow got a little wonky, but oh well. This challenge is purely for fun, so moving on. I started erasing with my Bear Eraser once everything was dry with the line art, and then started to go in with the colors. And like the last one, I started with the gold marker just to kind of see how with the opaqueness, like how much, sort of try to predict how much I would go out of the lines. And I immediately went out of the lines. Yeah, so from the gold opaque marker and me having to go over the line art again, I kind of knew that there was going to be quite a bit of colors going out of the lines here. So after that, I started with the skin because I made a mistake last time with the blush. So with that, it's like, I made a mistake last time. If I make a mistake here, it's not that big a deal. And sort of with that mindset, I kept going and tried to make the skin not look as splotchy as it did with the first layer of Copic marker. So you could just see me going over with that color. But actually with the skin, there wasn't a lot of me going outside of the lines. Like, maybe there was some with the ear, but like other than that, there really wasn't as much of like, oh, hey, here's you going outside the lines a lot. That wasn't really with the skin. That was actually with the hair and the shirt. So you could see me starting with the hair gradient of the browns. And sadly, here was where my brown was really starting to dry out. Not the dark brown, but the light brown. The light brown was really starting to dry out. So, as you can see, there was starting to get to be a little bit of splotching as I started with the light brown. So I really had to try to pull through with that. I don't know why. For some reason, all of my skin tone markers were starting to dry out. So, at some point, I think you can see me actually having to use the bullet nib because I think the chisel nib was just really starting to dry out. So I was just really trying to pull through with that. And as I mentioned, there was quite a bit of me going outside the lines, like with the left eye. Actually, I think, it was the left eye. The bangs, the brown hair for the bangs, the color actually went outside of the lines there. Also on the forehead and at the top of the page. So yeah, there was quite a bit of going outside the lines for that, but that was expected. Also, I did the eyes, and the eyes actually weren't that bad. There was actually nothing wrong with the eyes, really, other than that one eyelash, but oh well. And then now they're starting with me blending, and the blending didn't go that bad, actually. I had to do that a couple of times to make sure it looked good, but other than that, there wasn't that many issues with the skin. So I did the shading, did the blushing, and then I added in the freckles. So with the freckles, even though it was at a different face angle than with the right hand, I still tried to look at the right hand drawing just to see like where the freckles lay on the girl's face and to try to have them be in relatively the same area. And then I started with the blue. Now the blue, like I said, there was some of me going outside the lines, but this actually helped quite a bit, like with the brown as well, because that kind of blocked some of the spaces that were created when I was trying to go over the lines. So the lines actually didn't look as wobbly, surprisingly, when I went outside the lines. So, but with the blue, I also had the obstacle of avoiding the amulet. So while I was trying to have that look good, I was trying to avoid the amulet at the same time to make sure that that didn't get run over by the blue marker. So after I added the highlights for the girl, the piece was done. So yeah, I actually really liked this challenge. It was very fun to draw this, and I actually think these both look pretty good. So if you liked this video and want content similar to this, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. That would be greatly appreciated, and I hope you have a magnificent day, and I will see you all later.